just getting started over here. I think today I want to do a little design exercise in Excel. And you know, I've seen in the Apple keynotes, the new sort of rounded rectangle design thing that they use for everything. And we're going to try to replicate that. We've been starting to see this kind of stuff show up more and more. Oh, here's Gummy. I don't know if you guys can see Gummy very well. He's joining us. He's sleepy. He's just being a little cutie here. And as always, I'll try to keep these streams pretty chill and relaxed. People have been telling me more and more that they just find the streams kind of relaxing. Little Excel ASMR kind of thing going on here. So I think we're going to lean into that more. Get Gummy up here so he's on screen a little bit better. A few things to keep in mind here with this design style that we have. Rounded rectangles are the base we're working with. You know me, I do a lot of dark theme stuff if you guys have been watching the videos for a while, but I actually think we should do a light theme because frankly, light themes are a little more versatile, they're a little more accessible, and frankly, it's the design type that people are going to be using the most. It's just like most big enterprise clients I work with ultimately end up using light themes, not dark themes. Dark themes, there's nothing wrong with them, but they can just be a little hard to read in certain circumstances for certain people. And frankly, large companies tend to not have dark themes as part of their branding. All right, Gummy, there you go, sir. Okay. Sorry, I'm just getting Gummy all settled in here. There we go. Okay. So first things first, see, this is a light gray tile on a white background is what we're using here for this overall design. I don't know if this is what they always use, but I think it'll work just fine for the example we're doing here. So we can start with any of them, but the first thing we want to do is just kind of get our sheet all set up to start doing this. And the basic kind of first step here, I'm going to just do Command A, or you can literally just click up here to select all your cells. I'm just going to give these a white background for now, and that's going to hide our grid line. If your grid line is still showing up, I believe it's under the View tab. You'll see grid lines here. You can just turn those off and it will hide them. I'm leaving them on, but just setting a background color in this case. Some people have very strong opinions about that. I don't think that's a thing anyone needs to have a strong opinion about. Next is we have to think about how we're going to display this, how it's going to be used. So I'm thinking desktop, probably, right? We don't have dynamic layouts in Excel. Right? So it's not like we can have a layout that works on mobile and works on PC. It's not going to be able to adjust itself. So we're going to kind of, in this case, focus on making this work on a desktop. So wide, I'm going to start at 100% zoom. That is yet another thing people have very strong opinions on, which I don't think anyone needs to have super strong opinions on. Just start at 100%. There's nothing wrong with that. So we're at 100% zoom. We've got our background in place. And now we're going to start thinking about our layout. We're going to head to the insert tab, go in here and drop in rounded rectangle because that's what our whole base of our design is. We'll think about kind of how big we want these. I'm not going to go all crazy like we saw here, because this would just take too long to do on a stream. So we're going to do maybe just a portion of this and a few different styles we see here. So maybe we're like thinking that this is going to be 3 units high. Now, what do I mean when I say units? I'm thinking if each of these tiles is a separate component, that's like a unit. And so our height and width kind of need to be consistent, and we want to keep consistent ratios. So in this case, let's say we do 3 units high, we might have to change our size a little bit. Yeah, so 3 units high doesn't quite fit with the padding that we might want in this. So I'm just going to click all of these. I'm holding shift and clicking each of them. And I'm going to open up my formatting pane. We want to actually size in properties for this. So our height's like 3.58. What does it look like at 3.5? Now 3.4, almost 3.3. Let's go like 3.2. That looks good. And then if these were a square, see what that looks like. We'll go like that. Okay. And I'm also going to do another little trick here, which is this A column. I'm going to keep everything to the right of the A column and then collapse it. And what we're going to do is use this A column later just for sizing, essentially. It's just going to be a way to give us padding on the edges. Same applies to our row, our first row. And I'm going to move these up just a little so that we have even-ish padding on the sides and on the top, right? Like that. And I am keeping an eye out for comments, everybody. I apologize if you did drop one and I missed it. Just let me know. I think I got some here. I'm sorry if it's really obnoxious when I sip tea, by the way. I know some people hate that sound. I'll do my best to sip quietly while I drink my tea here. Okay, so we've just got a basic sense of what these are here. I'm gonna also, I've held shift and clicked on each of them to multi-select. I'm going to shape format, And I'm just making sure these are aligned left. And that just means the left edge is going to be aligned on all of them. There we go. You saw them jump a little bit. Just organizational stuff. I like to keep my page as organized as I can. Oh, sorry. I'm just adjusting gummy here, everyone. Is that better, Bunny? Okay. And the other thing you can do, I'm just shift clicking again, is I'm going to make sure that these are, oh, excuse me. Oops, wrong view. We'll talk about that later. I'm going to make sure that these are distributed vertically, meaning the spacing between them is even, because we're going to kind of want to keep consistent spacing between all of our elements throughout this whole exercise. Okay, that looks good. Now, colors. Like I said, when we looked at our example we're trying to use as a base, you see that overall, these are using a light gray background. Obviously, some of them have images, some of them have other elements and stuff, but we are going to start with light gray. So let's remove the outline because there's no outline on any of them. By default, shapes come with this outline around the edge. It looks terrible in most cases and isn't something everyone should be using. I don't know why that's a default feature. If anyone from Microsoft is watching, hit me up on changing the default shape, image, etc. features when dropped in, because I got a lot of thoughts. Kind of get this gray here. No, I don't like that gray. Let's try that. I think that actually looks pretty good, but it's a little too dark. What I'm about to show you does not work on all versions of Excel, but it works on many. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click into my shapes here, go to the fill, and then hit more colors. We're going to hit this little guy here, and we are going to just click on the gray background. And that's going to give us the exact value they're using. So that's the color used in the example. I actually like that. I might go like just a smidge darker of a gray for this, just personal preference. But who am I to argue with the way that Apple does things? So let's go, maybe I'm going to go a little yellow. So I'm just going to go a little darker and a little more yellow on this. Well, let's just see what that looks like first. Yeah, okay, I'm happy with that. So we got our color, we got our base. We figured out how many units high this is going to be. So now to get a sense of how many units wide we want this to be, we're going to just be remembering, all right, we're viewing this on a desktop screen. Let me get this. So we kind of have a sense of the ratio we're going to have here. We don't need to necessarily completely fill it, but let's just copy this and paste it and just loosely get these in place. This doesn't have to be perfect at this step. We're just trying to get a sense of how many units wide we want this to be. So that's 4, that's 5. So 5 fits almost perfectly here. Now, if we think about this, 5 units wide, 3 units high, 15 units that we can work with here. I think that's okay for this. I think something we're going to also be doing quite a bit of is like combining units horizontally or vertically. So like, let's say we had a big section here. We might delete this one and then just pull this one across, trying to get the sizing right. We might have to adjust our rounding and we're gonna have to get everything aligned, but we'll be having some that are grouped together. I don't know, get a little fancy and like have one of these actually just be this, like a full-sized square unit as well, maybe. We'll play around with that. I don't know if we want to go that crazy yet. Okay, so 5 units wide, 3 units high. That's what we have to work with. Now, in general, I think this type of design here is just too busy. There's just too much going on. It's fine for product release type stuff, I think, but it's just, it's a lot. So we're going to maybe be dialing things down a little bit in terms of the number of metrics or ideas or concepts or visual whatever that we put on the page. Just as a general rule, it's really easy to overwhelm your viewers. When you cram all this kind of stuff in, it looks great. It might work really well for a presentation up on stage where you're just trying to highlight all of the cool features that you've got. But if you were showing this to somebody else, they might have a little bit of a hard time interpreting everything that you've put in front of them. So we have to be mindful of that. Maybe we will do this as a 4-piece unit because I just saw that other one and I liked the look of it. So maybe we will do this. Okay, so something you just keep in mind all the time when we're doing this is keeping things organized, keeping a consistent ratio in the width and height of each element. So we started with 5 units wide by 3 units high. And if we are starting to make units bigger, we need to move in increments of a single unit, meaning this can be 2 units wide or 3 units wide or 4 units wide, but we have to think about it in terms of the units that are used as the building blocks for the rest of the page. That's super important. And that is going to kind of be the difference between a disorganized, chaotic page and a well-organized, really, really nice, useful page. So there we go. I like that. That looks good. So what do we like in here? What do we want to use first? Maybe we want to create like this kind of card here. I think this is a cool card. I like this kind of overall concept they have here. Let me see if there's any good Microsoft stock images to use for this. Let's go stock images. We're just going to look at some of the built-in stock images for this and see if we can find anything good. It makes me very sleepy here. So let's say we found a cool image we like this one. I'm going to insert the image here. Cool image, right? And it's got a great background. Double whammy. So if I just click this image, hit Command C to copy it, and then click into our box here, and under Format Shape, go Picture Texture Fill again, and then we go Clipboard. Boom, we've got this very cool image fill, and it actually matches our design because it's gray. Amazing, right? So that's just a very quick trick for this kind of stuff. Now, there's some issues here, right? The image is full frame. Where are we going to put our text? Where are we going to put the information and metrics we want to overlay on top of this? But it's still pretty cool looking, and I kind of dig it. One way we could do something like that if we wanted to get a little creative is I'm just copy pasting this whole shape, and I'm going to go gradient fill. We are not going to do this gradient, although a lot of people ask me about this gradient because they love the purple pink. What we're going to do is drop this to 180. That's the angle that the gradient is going across at. On one side of this, we're going to take our gray background color, which no, hold on. What is our gray background color? This one. And then on the other side, we're going to select the same thing, but make it 100% transparent. Now, what we could do then is overlay this on top of our image, and we can essentially use this to mask out part of our shape. You would use this if you then want to add text over on one side or the other. And if we want, we can grab this little thing at the top, rotate it the other way, slide it over a little bit if we wanted to have our text over on this side. We could then go to the Insert tab and drop in some text. And when you drop in a text box, yet again, another default setting that really needs to be updated. It's going to drop in with a white background and an outline. I'm just going to put in placeholder text. We got a lot of options for fonts. I'm going to use Montserrat. Why not? I just like Montserrat. No real reason. It is not better in any meaningful way, but I just like it. Selecting elements in Excel can be a bit of a headache as well when you're doing this kind of work. So if you are having issues selecting elements, quick trick for you. Up here under the Home tab, we are going to find and Select menu. If you hit Select Objects, what you can do is just click and drag over elements to select them and then move them around. Once you're done, you have to remember to deselect this. Go back and turn it off, or you'll run into other issues. But that Select Objects option is incredibly helpful. All right, I'm just putting in goofy placeholder text, no big deal. We've got kind of like a header size text and like a little subheader size text here, which I think is nice actually. What can I say here? A few things to keep in mind. Let's say you liked this visual style and you wanted to actually make it like dynamic, like you wanted this to actually update in real time. If that was the case, I'm just going to put some metrics over here. You don't have to have these on the same page. I'm just doing this for the sake of an example, okay? So just saying that up front. So let's say we had a metric here, recycle percentage, and right now it's 1, but let's say it was 99%. Okay, so we obviously would need to change this to a percentage. And then what we could do is have our metric be dynamic, meaning we could take this whole text block here. I'm going to delete everything, go up to our formula bar, hit equals, and point it at this metric here. Hit enter and get everything reformatted, obviously. Give me a second. What did we have this at? Montserrat 28, right? It was Montserrat bold 28, I believe. Yeah, great. So what we could then do is I could delete this, slide this down a little bit, and move our metric here. And then every month, when we update our report, let's say we change our percentage to 89%, it's going to show up and automatically update in the report itself. This is just real nifty if you're somebody who doesn't want to have to manually update stuff every week. It can be a huge time saver and just make it a lot easier when you have dynamic text added. There's also other ways to do dynamic text that work really well. There's other ways to do dynamic text as well, which I can show you if there's an interest, where you can actually build a string that's combining text together dynamically to write like a full sentence that updates whenever you edit your data. But that's a whole thing. We won't go into it unless there's somebody has a specific request for that. Only other thing I would say here is I think this text is a little small under the circumstances because this is like a pretty big image. So I'm just going to expand that, get that moved up a little bit, and move that here, move this down, and then maybe we select all of it and move it so it's kind of centered more. There you go. Okay, so that's our version of that little thing we were looking at before over here. Obviously different, but we kind of captured the same spirit and we did it right in Excel. So that's cool. I like that one. I love all these other little styles that are in here. I don't know which one to do next. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just looking. I like a lot of these. I kind of want to try doing one of these colorful gradient ones, but before that, maybe we should add in a few more informational ones. Maybe we should try something like this. So you see down here, this 1200 nits, and then it has a little subtext. Pretty simple, small little section there. But there is this gradient fill behind the text. Now, I don't actually know how to do that, but maybe we can just figure out how to do it in real time. I think that could be fun. So I'm just going to copy paste some text so we have something to start with. And I'm also going to wonder, I'm using jet black, 100% black text here. And sometimes that's not the best call. Sometimes you want to use something that is like a little toned down. So what I often do when I have text like this is I'll just like, instead of doing jet black, we'll just do like a really dark gray or something like that. It's a super subtle difference. You consciously might not see it. It does smooth things out overall. And when you look at a whole dashboard from afar, it can make a big difference. So let me just quickly look. Gradient text fill in. So, okay, a tip for Googling things when you are in Excel. Oftentimes, there is not going to be documentation on how to do something visual in Excel because people just haven't been doing visual things in Excel. But there often will be documentation on how to do visual stuff in PowerPoint. Critically important here because all of those PowerPoint concepts can be applied right in Excel. Text options, gradient fill, hold on, from a, okay, good. Yeah, so we can do it. Yay. Okay, so we just verified that this is totally possible. What we're gonna do here is give this a gradient fill. So what does this gradient here look like? You all kind of like that one, right? That's kind of like a blue to a purple to like this red at the end. And this looks like the full gradient here. So what I'm actually gonna do is we're gonna use this as a reference so we can move fast because that little image right there includes the full gradient spectrum. So I'm just gonna use that image as our base. And we'll reference, oh, sorry, you can't see that, can you? And we'll reference this as we go. We're just gonna do 1.6. I think it's maybe 1.4. I think it's 1.6. This is the number of Excel users worldwide, as far as I've seen in terms of like best estimates. So let's give this a gradient fill. So what we're gonna do is we like this gradient here, right? So each step of a gradient represents a separate color that is transitioning to another color. So for the first step, let's go and click this. I'm gonna be using my little color dropper tool. If your version of Excel does not have a color dropper tool, your PC, your Mac will have a built-in color dropper tool you can use to get the hex color and enter them. So if you can't do this right in Excel, you can just do it with an external tool. So we've just added in the first step of our gradient. We're gonna make sure our transparency is at 0. Now we're gonna hit the plus button here. We're gonna add another step to our gradient. And I'm going to select the next color that we see here, which is like the middle one here. So like a purpley color. Maybe we wanna go a little farther over, a little darker. We're going to have to update all of this later, so we're not trying to get everything perfect here. We're just trying to get a general sort of gradient going. Then I'm going to add another one. And this next one's going to be this middle color in here. So select that as well. That looks good. And then the last one is a much darker, I got to turn the transparency down, a much darker red. Like kind of that red is a little different from everything else in this gradient. The red is much more saturated. It doesn't really look like everything else there. So I'm going to have to smooth that out. I'm just moving these around to get it to look a little better. There we go. And then I'm going to, oh, wait. And you know what? The other thing I've realized, we've got it backwards here. We want that red on the end, not at the beginning. And we can do that here with our angle by just changing our angle from 180 to, I think it's 360 or 0. Actually, I'm sorry, 0. And then it'll flip it for us. We'll make our text a little bigger. Maybe that's a little too big. Maybe we do that. Open to feedback on that one if folks have comments. And we'll put it like right in here. And then we'll use our little subtext here to say 1.6 Excel users worldwide. Now, our subtext here, I think, needs to be a little bigger and more readable. Maybe we need to do the same thing up here. It feels a little too big when I increase the size up here, but that's okay. So that's at 14. Let's try this at 14 as well. I'm talking about font sizes when I say 14. And let's center this. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, hey, my other cat just jumped up. I don't know if y'all can see them, but Mo's joined the chat. You okay, baby? Just want to come hang out? Okay, he's just gonna hang out in my lap. So I kind of like this. I think it would be better if this was not as tall, if it looked more like this, but that's okay. I think for now that's gonna work. We'll think about other ways we can improve that later. So that looks cool. That was fun. We got a little fun thing here. I don't know if it's perfect, but we'll just have to think about it as we go. That reference, this gradient reference was really useful. Also fun trick, if you ever want to, if you have a gradient like this and you're like, oh, I don't want to have to rebuild this gradient again. I just want to be able to use the one I already have. Obviously, you can just copy paste the text box, or if you go in here and you select gradient, sorry, let me select the text first. If you go in here and you select your text fill, hit gradient fill, then go over to your other text, if it's not a gradient fill already, and change this text to gradient fill, it will copy the last gradient that you used. So that can be very helpful. And another tip here, folks, again, if we wanted to have a dynamic text here, so let's say we wanted this to say 1.6 billion, there are still ways we could do that. It would be a little trickier because we're shortening it to billion, right? Let's say we had users in billions. That's what I'm just typing in the text box. I know you can't read it very easily. And I put 1.6 down here. So we're just measuring in billions. We could then have another text box that just is this. What I'm doing in the formula bar is I'm hitting equals, and then I'm hitting this AC8 where we put 1.6. After that, I'm putting an and, then I'm putting a parentheses, no, quotation mark, sorry, quotation mark, space, billions. I'm just typing out billions and then putting another quotation mark and hitting enter. Now that auto-generated 1.6 billion. That's what this says right here. I know you can't read it, but it says 1.6 billion. So then if we wanted to, we could link this to our 1.6 billion. And then anytime we change 1.6, let's say next year it's 1.7 billion Excel users, we could just update it and it would automatically show up. The text would automatically update. Okay. Y'all want to try out maybe this cool dark themed one here? I really like this. So it's like a dark theme with a metric and a little border and white text on it. And I also like this image one. So let's do the dark one first and then let's do the image one. So for the dark one, I think we're going to do an image fill for this one again. Let's go to insert. Let's just get a stock image. So we're going to place over cells and then we're going stock images. If you don't have this feature in your version of Excel, you can just find free stock images online. It'll work fine. So we want like a circuit board or something, right? And we want something dark. We need like a really dark theme here. So now, unfortunately, all of the images of circuit boards here are taken at weird angles. We really want one that's just top down. So none of these are going to look as good, but they'll look okay. So I think this or this, maybe this. So I'm going to insert all three and we'll just choose the one we like the most. This one's top down. I like that. This one's at a weird angle, but I still kind of like it. And then this one, it's just too busy and the contrast won't work, I don't think, for what we want to do. I think this is our winner. We just might have to darken the image a little bit. And I think we can just do that. Let me try. What if we just turn this to like something a little darker? I don't use the image correction tools in Excel very often, but you can. So I'm just gonna, well, hold on. Let's just really quick. Let's copy this. I'm gonna go over here. We've clicked into the place where we want to put it. And then we're just going to format shape and we're going from a solid fill to a picture texture fill. And we're gonna hit clipboard because we copied it already. And then we get that. So that actually looks pretty good. I'm gonna hit tile so it doesn't warp. Think I like that. We might need to add something to mask off the middle though, and I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. So overall this looks good, but it's a little too light in the middle and we're gonna be putting white text on it. So what we could do to fix that is just copy one of our other rectangles, shrink it down a little bit like this, put it roughly in the middle, and then change the color to black and make it very transparent. And then you have something like that that kind of masks out the middle for wherever we want to put the text. This will have to have white text so it's readable because it's a dark background. We need to have light text on a dark background. In this example, they were just putting some percentage or something like that. I'm pretty sure this is not the actual Apple version of these tile designs. I'm pretty sure this is just somebody's copy because none of the content on any of these slides makes any sense. So I'm just gonna put whatever we want in this one. Maybe this is where we put the 1 in 5 adults. So let's do that. Anyway, we can go insert and we're gonna drop a text box in. Instead of doing that though, I'm just gonna copy paste my text because having to insert a text box and remove the backgrounds and the outlines over and over again, it's just exhausting. Nobody wants to do that. So we'll make our text white. 185, and then we make this a little bigger, because we're really trying to emphasize that. And we don't really have anything else on the page. Center it. There we go. Put it in. Or what if we, I don't know, would like a ratio look better maybe? I don't know if that's obviously maybe not better communication, but it looks cool. And then we're gonna drop this in and of course change text to white. And we've got our little line here saying 1 in 5 adults use Excel at work. We might want to change the layout. I don't know if the bottom right is a good place to have such a dark, contrasty, different section, but it's fine for now. I think we got something that looks good. And yet again, everyone, we can just tie this text to an actual metric in a cell so that it updates dynamically, right? That's the big takeaway in all of this, is that you can always tie your metric to your cells, meaning when you have a report that updates weekly, monthly, whatever, all the updated numbers just flow through. And the nice thing about what we're doing here with these little card tile layouts is that what you can do is just create a bunch of these, right? We could create a menu of different tiles and then we could grab them report by report, just the ones we want, and paste them into things. You could paste these into a new dashboard. You could paste these into a PowerPoint presentation. You could do whatever you want with them. The other thing I was really digging just a second ago here was this image example here. So that image, again, we're just doing an image fill. Maybe we'll go a little farther over just to keep the page balanced. And we're gonna try to find a good stock image for this again. We're just using Excel stock images in today's examples, but you're not limited to that, obviously. I'm just doing it because it's easy for streaming. Just gonna search for something nature related. That might look good. Should we do a puffin? Everybody likes puffins, right? I mean, universally beloved creature here. I'm going to copy this. We're going to go over here and I'm going to try pasting it and see what happens. I don't know if this one's going to fit. Something to keep in mind. The aspect ratio of the image you use as a background has to be the same as the shape. Meaning if your shape's really wide, but your image is square, it's going to stretch things out and look really weird. So let's just try that. That puffin's a little squished. What if we tile? Okay. And then if we zoomed out, what if I did like 60%? And then do 60% height. There we go. Perfect. Perfect puffin. So I don't know if y'all saw that. I just made it a tile instead of a single image. And then I adjusted the scale for the X and Y so it shrunk down a little and just fit better on the page. I think the only thing here, offset X, would be this way. So I want to move the puffin over a little bit. So I'm just like offsetting him to the left so that we can then add a metric right here. So I'm going to grab our white text here because I think our white text is going to work better for this. How about this is 0, and it's going to be 0 puffins harmed in the making of this dashboard because we care about puffins. We don't want anything bad to happen to puffins. So we could do something like that. So now we got some images, we got colors, we got things looking pretty cool and fresh in here. What else should we add, everyone? And I'm again open to suggestions here, folks. If you're watching and you're like, "Ooh, I want to see more of X, Y, or Z for the tiles," just drop it in. So my other cat's in my lap now. We got Gummy up here in the scarf. Mo's in my lap. Right when I want to go refill my tea is the time that Mo jumps in my lap. It's like a rule. He knows when I need to go get more tea and then he hops in my lap so I can't get up. So we're going to just keep going. Okay. Can you all see Mo? He's just sleeping there. And then there's Gummy. Gummy, you want to say hi, buddy? Okay. There we go. This gradient too, I kind of want to use that again somewhere. Maybe somewhere over here. I don't know. But let's think about more things we can do just with these gray cards because this gray base is such a universal kind of thing that people use in so many different reports. Just an example, here, we're going to go to the insert tab, and in this case, we're going to go to shapes. Excuse me, we're going to go to icons. That's up in the header where you can click icons right under the insert tab. Let's see. I don't know what kind of icon to use here. This is such a nonsensical dashboard that I'm thinking maybe we just like choose something fun. What if we like just dropped a little thing in the US or Australia and New Zealand often get clipped off of maps. So maybe we should add that. No, we're going to start here. I'm biased because I am in the US. So we could do like a little, we could do like a little thing like this. And then when you have an icon, you can give it really any fill you want. So let me just close this. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I take it back. When you have an icon, you can only give it a solid fill. Silly me. So what of our colors that we've used so far would look good? I don't like that one. Don't like that one. Kind of like that one. I like that one. That's the best one so far. Okay, so we could put that in and then just give it some text. Simple as that. Where are puffins found? Does anyone know? Okay, cool. We'll just put in some placeholder text there because that's what we're doing. This is, again, kind of a nonsensical dashboard. We're just doing fun things here. So I think that works. I think that color is okay. I'm not sure I love this one. Like, I feel like it maybe needs some slightly more visual interest to it of some kind. Maybe we just need to add another graphic in. Maybe that could do it. So like, what if we added in Europe, drag? What is the past tense of drag? Dragged? Okay, and then if we make this the same color, I'm just kind of playing around here, everyone. This is not science. Here, this is definitely art. And then we have 2 of these, but then what if behind it we just put in like a little band, which is like this is where they are, their territory or whatever. So we like took off the line, and then I don't think we can do the same color. So what if we do different color, but we make it kind of transparent or something, and then we bring these above it. Hold on. I know you don't believe me, but I think it could look good once it's adjusted properly. Something like that, because that's kind of the territorial range. And then we have like a cool little graphic there that actually illustrates something useful related to our random arbitrary statement we added in. I like that. Cool. And I just like that this kind of matches our overall design. And if we wanted to get really fancy, I know I'm going over the top here, we could make this actually our gradient and just turn the transparency up on all the colors. But like, this might be a little too much. Let's see what it looks like. I mean, I kind of like that actually. There we go. Cool. We're being a little extra. Okay, what do we add into our wide space here? So what we could do is we could make this something a little like a darker background with a title like we saw here, like this Apple custom OLED type thing that we see here. So like we could click in here and maybe, I don't know, let's check if there's a good image we could use for this. So again, we're just gonna check stock images here. Hooray for integrating the smart image feature. Whoever did that on the Excel team, looking at you, I appreciate you. You are appreciated. Okay. Let's just look at some textures, because sometimes you can just find a good dark texture for the background, or we can find a kind of generic texture and then just make it dark by doing some color adjustments on it. That's kind of cool. What's that? Too much. Not enough. Too much. You know, we're kind of just looking for something neat. What about that? That might be too much too, but we could try it. I'm just randomly clicking a few of these so that we can test them out. Again, not science here, just playing around creatively. So I'm going to drag these over so we can see them in place. What do y'all think? I think this one's a little, I don't know. I kind of like this one, and it kind of matches our color palette too already. So I'm like, why not? So I'm just going to copy this. Actually, in this case, I'm going to cut it so I don't have to delete it later. Click in here, go to format shape, and we're going to do another picture or texture fill and hit clipboard. I think that's fun. I think it's too bright and contrasty to lay text over. So let me see what happens when I offset this. You know what we could do? You remember how we used a mask before by inserting another shape with a gradient? We're just gonna do the same thing here. So we're just gonna copy this. I am going to go to a gradient fill. The angle's wrong. I need this at 90, meaning top down, not side to side. This is the degrees of the gradient. Now on one side here, I need the same color that is being used here. So that dark color, I'm gonna hit OK. And then on the other side, it just needs to be transparent. So we'll do the same color again, make it 100% transparent. Let's see if this works. This is not gonna be 100% color match. I have found whenever I do this, my colors do not match perfectly. I think that has to do with the way that screens color correct or something, but it just happens to me a lot. So what I'm gonna do too is I'm gonna make the top a little transparent. That's just gonna blend it better and move it a little further down. And maybe we need to convert this to from a rounded rectangle just to a rectangle so it fits better, because I don't know if you can see this, there's a little aliasing right here where you can see the background through. Aliasing's not the right word. I don't know what the right word is. So shape format, I'm just going to change this to, we're going to hit edit shape, and we're just going to hit change shape to a square, and that'll fix it. Okay, perfect. I'll just move it over a little. This is not 100% perfect here, but it is pretty close, and that's all we're going for in these examples, because I don't have to deliver these to a client, so we are allowed to just have fun with it and not make them perfect. So I like this. The only other thing I might do is maybe move this down a little more. There we go. Okay, so here we have something nice. And then what they did in the examples, they basically just included like a title. I'm just gonna copy paste my text here. I don't know what the title would be here. We're just putting whatever we want in. We'll get our font size down and then get these way stretched out, something like that. Okay, there we go. So look at our tile layout so far, everyone. Look at what we've built together here. We've got metrics. We've got more metrics. We've got pretty stuff. I like this. You know what I'm thinking though, as I look at this, and there isn't any of this in the example, but I think we need a chart. Oh, JG, I didn't see your question till just now. Sorry. We did not Google these. We are just using the built-in stock images in Excel. Not everyone has those, I know, so I apologize if you don't have them, but that is what I'm using for this, is just built-in ones. There are other places to get stock images, folks, just to be clear. I'm just using these because they're built in and it makes it easier when streaming. Anyway, charts. This is one thing we can give deeper insight into than most people could, I think. I say we, I guess I'm talking about me and the cats. But we could also integrate charts here. So like this dark background, right? We could integrate a chart into this. We could have a line chart that's in white that you could see above this or something. So maybe we don't need to just use metrics here. Maybe we should use some charts too. I don't know. Our options are endless, folks. I think it would be kind of cool, hear me out, what if we did this cool gradient we used before, but we did like a trend line using that cool gradient, or maybe even like a, I don't know, like a area line chart, something like that. I don't know. That might be fun. Anyway, we have how many tiles left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tiles left to fill in here. I don't know if there's a use case for this too, but like you don't often see a double tall tile like this, but maybe we should try doing a double height one like this. And just so you know, you can click in the upper, if you want to change how rounded your rectangles are, you just do it right up here. again, if anybody on the Excel team is out there, I need this, the roundedness, to be in the size menu. The fact that it's not in the size menu does not make sense. If you're out there and you have any sway at Microsoft on the Excel team, get them to add this rounded option as one of the size controls. It's going to make life a lot easier for everybody out there building this kind of stuff. Okay, so what do we add now? We can look back at our example just for inspiration. I really like these images here. See how we've got this image? Now here's the thing. This image style looks really cool, but we need a perfectly cut out image with a transparent background to do this. And I just don't have a nice perfectly cut out image to use right now. And I don't really want to on stream manually go through the process of cutting the background out of an image. So I think we have to try something else instead. Ooh, haptic touch. I like this. I don't know if y'all can see that very well. I think that looks cool. We also have some other cool sort of spec metrics here with the thing above. This looks a lot like this section here. So maybe that's what we should do here. Maybe what we do is we leave this one here, and then this one we break into 4 sections that are each individual metrics. That won't necessarily be easy to do. We'll have to do some playing around to get it to look right. I think that could be cool. So like that, and then like that, and then like each of these could be a metric that kind of refers to what's up here. There's better ways to do this, I think, but I think this could be fun. Now we have to think about what to put up here though. What do we have? What do we have? Let's look at stock images. I wonder if there's just like, I need stock images that only have transparent backgrounds. It does not have an option to only give me one transparent. This is cool though. I just want to see what this looks like. Okay, it's cool. Does not have a transparent background. Although we could maybe do something cool with this where we like kind of like fit it in and then like flip it. Oh, and then if like, why not? I'm just having fun here, folks. So bear with me. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to turn this into image fill. We're doing that just over in the shape options. We're just clicking picture text fill and then going from clipboard. And delete this. I'm going to take this over here. I'm just testing out a cool effect idea here. We're just playing around. And then what if we made this like a little transparent? Oh, that's kind of cool actually. Well, not transparent enough maybe. Like how much more transparent could we go before it starts washing out? I just feel like that could be something cool. Okay, what's that? Oh, that's kind of cool. It's just kind of weird to have a gray image on a gray background though. I don't know what this would refer to or be about, but that's just kind of pretty. Anyway, I don't know, it's fun. When you have transparency in things like this, you can do fun stuff and it's just fun playing with. So like having a transparent image on a background like this can be just a cool way to get an interesting visual effect. I'm just doing some little fun text stuff here. I'm trying to get this blue gradient that I kind of like, but I'm struggling to get the effect I want on this blue gradient. So I need to make my darker colors a little darker, and I need to make my lighter colors a little lighter, and I should get a better gradient that way. So let's do some puffin facts. All right. So yeah, like I said, I'm putting some puffin facts in here. Here we go. This is 2 tons of fish eaten by a single puffin colony per year. I guess we need to put the context in there, right? Per year. Maybe that isn't enough room to squeeze the puffin fact in there, but maybe we go a little wider. There we go. Still a tight fit, but that's okay. What are some other interesting puffin facts? We'll have to think of something good. We got to put in a few more puffin facts here for this whole design to work. Okay, top speed. That's a good one. Okay, cool. All right. Oh my gosh, this is so funny. I'm looking up puffin facts, right? And just so we can throw a few more puffin facts in here, why not? But check this out. Look at the design that Google has started using for search results. Look at this. What's that look like? Pretty tile-y, right? So I'm telling you, this kind of tile layout, I'm seeing it everywhere, more and more and more. And it's not a card layout necessarily in the way I used to think about card layouts. It's kind of its own thing. So just kind of cool. Anyway, interesting to see the way in which this kind of stuff echoes across the design ecosystem. We need one more puffin fact. Does anybody have a good puffin fact? They want to put in the chat? I'm checking for puffin facts here. Okay, that's okay. I'll find a good one here. Oh, there we go. We're just going to put, there we go. Finally, we've got our puffin facts. I like this, I think. Maybe we make the text size a little different. I don't know if we could do the text a little bigger. I'd have to spread that out a little and then move all these over, but that could work. And then go a little taller. All right, so puffin facts. I don't know what this has to do with puffins. It just looked cool. Maybe we need to get a better puffin image in there. So yeah, we only have a little more to do here. One thing that's bugging me, these are a little too small and the rounding's a little off. So I'm gonna just increase the size of all of these a little bit. I'm just doing this under shape options. I'm gonna go to like 1.8. Let's see what that does for height, and then 1.88 for width. So, and I'm just changing height and width of these in very small increments because I don't want to like drastically mess up my layout, but I just want everything to feel like it fits a little better. And I think it's also because this gap here feels big, but that's okay. And then what if we just adjust our roundedness a little and turn it down just a tad, because these are starting to feel just like they don't match the other shapes. We got so many cool things in here. I don't know what one is a match for these other little sections. We got cool image backgrounds. We got cool gradient. You know what we haven't done is we haven't just done a full gradient background on one of these, meaning doing a fill and having the fill be a gradient. So I'm going to see how easy it is for me to copy this gradient. Let me see here. Gradient fill. Just make sure this is in my clipboard. And then can we do, that's never happened before. Oh, I know exactly what I did. There we go. I changed the gradient of the text, not the fill. So this is too busy of a fill and too linear. It just doesn't look good. It doesn't have the vibe we want. Even if we change the angle a little, it's just not working. So if we want this to work, we probably need to take one of the steps out, maybe. That's looking a little better. You know, perfect is the enemy of done, especially when you're doing the kind of stuff I'm doing here, which is just like example work. And so I sometimes get caught up in treating these like I'm working with a client on a client project, and I just spend too much time spinning out on the details. So we don't want to do that. Sheldon says, what is the best course of action if you were like me and colorblind? So yeah, great question, Sheldon. So one is if you're colorblind and you still want to use gradients, totally fine. Try to stick with gradients that aren't part of the color spectrum that you aren't able to see. Meaning if you're red-green colorblind, don't do a red-green one. You're still going to struggle, unfortunately, because red and green are going to be integrated into almost every other color you're using in a gradient, but you should still be able to have something that looks okay. It's just you're going to need to get a second opinion on it. Better yet, just use a gradient you find somewhere else. You noticed I used that color picker tool before, meaning when I was like trying to set up these colors, I used this little color dropper. You should have this either in Excel or on your computer. And this lets you just click on something and it gives you the hex value. If you just use that, you know you're getting a color from a gradient that has already been created, meaning you know you're going to get the color you want and you're not wondering, hey, is this the right one or not? And that can simplify the process for you a little bit if you still need to use them. But you can also just use gradients in a way that doesn't necessarily require you to be able to see the underlying color too. Meaning like this gradient we used back here is just a mask, right? So gradients can still be used in more subtle ways where it's just like being used to create a transition that's gentle from a darker color to a lighter color. And in that case, the actual color being used doesn't matter as much. It's just how light or dark the color is. Just some thoughts. Honestly, frankly, I shouldn't speak too much on the topic because I don't want to say something that, you know, totally misses the mark, but I think that can be helpful. All right. Okay, so throughout the course of this project, we went from Excel facts to Puffin facts. Nothing wrong with that. So this is now a mixed Excel and Puffin dashboard that we're doing here. Nothing wrong with that. I like that. You know, one thing we talked about was maybe doing like a little line chart. So let's just say we have some make-believe data here. I'm just gonna, this is just totally made up, so don't read into this too much. I don't know, let's just do like a rand between to come up with. So if you all don't know, you can use the formula? No, you can use rand between to generate just random numbers if you're trying to do a dashboard. So I'm going to do 100 and I don't know, 4,000. Okay, and then we're just going to drag that down so we get some numbers. Love it. I'm going to copy this and I'm just going to paste it so we just have the numbers. I don't want to mess with any formulas in here. There we go. It's just me being a doofus. That's what's going on here, folks. There's nothing wrong with Excel. It's me being a doofus. A tale as old as time right there. Okay, so we're just going to talk about how we can make a trend line here. Now, we are not making highly effective data visualizations in this example. We are showing design principles. So data viz people, I don't want to see any of those comments that I see every single time I give a design example. I'm just trying to show the design features here, okay? All right, we're good? All right, cool. So I'm deleting everything I don't want. In this case, it's labels. I don't need them for this. Maybe we keep these. We don't even need these. Delete it. We're getting our grid lines gone. We've just deleted every element we don't want. And then over here, we're going to take out our background and we're going to take out the outline. I do not know why everything is auto added with a border or an outline. It doesn't make any sense. It's ridiculous. So we're taking those out. Now we're going to get this and we're just going to get it roughly in place. What if we, idea, y'all tell me if you think I'm just too far, if I'm just going too far out, but like, what if we just extended this over? And then this was just like a little addition to the data there on the left. So we turn this into into a line, and then we're essentially showing a little trend line which we're hoping people will interpret as puffin population. Who knows? I never overestimate the audience as a general rule. The rule of explaining things like your audience is 5 years old is generally a good rule, but we're breaking rules today because we're just doing fun stuff. This is honestly what I enjoy the most doing, frankly. It's just more fun. It's a design exercise, so I don't know. What do we think about that? I don't know about having these two double wides right next to each other, but like, that's okay. Maybe it's all right. What do you think this needs like something? Another thing we could do here, this is a fun little trick, is I could just duplicate my values, paste them right here. Click here into my chart, expand my selection to include the second one. And that's just created a duplicate line. We're going to click the duplicate line and we are going to go to chart design and hit change chart type. Only the duplicate line is what we're doing this to. We're going to change the duplicate line to an area chart, and that gives us a fill beneath it. We're going to click our fill and turn it into a gradient. Make sure the gradient is at 90%. And then our gradient is now we're going to adjust it. So I'm going to remove the center one by hitting minus. On one end, it's going to be white. On the other end, it's going to be transparent, and the top part is actually going to be a little more transparent, like that, maybe, and then maybe a little further down, like right there, like that, and let's see what that looks like. So we could do something like that. Now, I don't know, maybe this is a little much, maybe we're going a little crazy here, you know, we're getting a little overboard, but I think it's fun. I think it just adds a little visual interest to it. There's another option we could do here too, which is add a drop line beneath each of these values. That can look cool too. I don't know, but I don't know. I'm kind of feeling this. Why not? I'm into it. Okay. What's our last spot going to be, everyone? Anyone have any votes for what we should do on the last spot? I think it needs to be gray because, you know, we're trying to keep that gray theme overall. I just went a little crazy with all the other colors, but like, something simple, you know? Like, I think we need something simple here. I don't know what it should be. Let's look back for some inspiration. I really like, see this little haptic touch thing? I know I cannot show it the way I want to. I can't zoom in enough. Really like it. I just don't know how to recreate it. But I'll try. So we're going to go to insert, we're going to check our stock images again. And what we're going to look for in our stock images is kind of concentric circles. Let's see what we can find. Oh, there's a lot of concentric circles. Okay, that's a thing. So none of them are the right color, not even close to the right color. So we're going to have to adjust one. So this looks closest. I'm going to insert that, not in terms of color, but just in terms of layout. It's interesting. It's a fun little piece of art somebody must have made. So I'm going to copy this, go in here. We're going to go to format, shape. We're going to give it an image fill, and we're going to hit clipboard. And then we're going to have to tile, and then we're going to have to offset on the, what I'm doing, everyone, I know it's hard to see this. I'm just setting my offset to get this thing centered. That's all I'm doing here. So it's apparently really needs to be far offset. And then we need to offset our y-axis to get it in the center. So I think this has got to be like -40 or more. Yeah, no, -50. Let's go -60 and see if that overshoots it. Should we go a little farther? -70? Let's try that. And I'm just talking about points. And this is just me trying to get it loosely in the middle. What I needed to do was I needed to format this, but I think I can still do it. So color. We want to change the color. And we want it to be something that kind of matches what we're doing. How's that look? Does that look kind of cool? Kind of matches, kind of gray blue. I don't know. What other colors could we do here? I don't know. Of all the colors we have here, that feels like the one that fits, unless we just do gray. But the gray feels a little ring. I don't know. Maybe the gray's okay. Maybe gray is, you know, we wanted more gray. So let's do a little more gray. Why not? What if we did a little lighter? Sorry, like that? Sort of. Okay, whatever. What I'm going to do here is we're going to insert a circle in the middle. That circle is going to have a gradient fill. The gradient option we're going to use for this is radial. And we're going to make sure we have the center one selected here on the right. And we're going to make sure the center is not transparent, but white, and the outside's transparent. And what I'm just doing is I'm just kind of masking off the center of this thing a little bit and removing the outline so that we have a place to put a metric in. That looks kind of okay. I don't know. It's kind of fun. We kind of have a little spot here to drop something in it. Maybe a metric. Okay, you know, look, everyone. I know people hate pie charts. I know people hate donut charts. Don't hate them. They're amazing. They just need to be used in the right circumstances. That is the most contradictory opinion I have in this whole space. And I get vitriolic hate messages when I use them, like aggressive hate messages whenever I use them. And that just makes me want to use them more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, sorry, I'm just changing my masking a little on this to see if it looks better. I do like that better. Okay. I think we should just add one because why not? We're having fun. We're having a good time today. So let's go with like, how do we find a good percentage related to puffins, right? So 90% of puffins are found in Europe. So to do this, I just need 90 and 10. Again, we're not worried about perfect data here. So I just have two metrics. One is 90, one is 10. That's all. That's literally all we're using for this. Then we're gonna drop a donut in. Not gonna be labeled because we're not worried about amazing data visualization right now. We're doing design today. This is a design day. Don't get too mad because we're not necessarily doing everything the right way. We're doing it the fun way. So let's get that in. Beautiful. Obviously, those colors aren't going to work. Whoa, wait. I need my trusty gradient for this. Oh, no. We want this to be, okay, hold on. Sorry. I'm just trying to think about how to do the color for everything. Sorry, folks. Text options. Where's my gradient? There it is. I love this gradient. Then we're going to go over here. We're going to click into our bar, the series we want to edit. We're going to go over here. We're going to change our fill to a gradient fill. I mean, I just like it as is. And then we're going to change this to something gray like that. And then this, we just got to dial it all way down. And maybe we adjust our center size. Let's see, donut hole size, something like that. I don't know. I don't know if that's working though, to be totally honest with you. Maybe we need to do this in white. One thing I always say when you're doing this stuff is just try playing with stuff. Don't just go with the first thing that comes along. Like try adjusting it until you get something that feels right. I often find that the best version of whatever I'm making just comes from me being like, I don't quite like this. Let me just try a couple different colors. And then you stumble on one and it works really well. As a general rule. Okay, what if we did that just like right there? Maybe that could work, whatever. So do we do it like this? 90% of puffins are from Europe? I don't know. How's that? I mean, that kind of looks okay. Actually, I kind of dig that. I don't know if it's perfect, but there you go. So boom. We've got all our metrics in there, everyone. We just did a full-blown Excel tile dashboard in the style of those funky little Apple ones that you've been seeing everywhere. And I don't know how long we've been streaming, an hour and 15 minutes. And we just came up with like a whole cool, fun thing. This was our little base inspiration here, which was fun. We kind of went in a different direction than a lot of this, but I think we got a similar vibe going. So just to recap here, I think the big takeaway, the fun thing about these tile layouts, you could create like a menu of different visualizations and insights like this that are updated dynamically from your data, meaning you could just have tables you update and it automatically updates everything in here. And you could use that as the base to take little tiles as you need them and put them into other things. You could use it to make new dashboards every month and just pull the insights that matter the most. You could use it to grab insights and put them into a PowerPoint deck. You could just do something like this in the style of your overall design. Hold on, sorry, my cats are fighting, everyone. I have to save them really quick. Teslum's asking, I hope this video will be available after. It will, don't worry. This is all gonna get posted on YouTube, I think. Long story short, it's a fun approach for that, frankly. And it gives you a lot of flexibility visually. You can do all sorts of cool stuff like this. We've got just tons of options available to us here. So worth exploring. This will be on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube, go subscribe. We had a fun one today, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being a part of the journey, as always. If you have questions, stuff I didn't cover, just drop them as a comment and I'll check it back and see them later. That's it for now. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a lovely time wherever you are in the world. And if you are somebody who's interested, you can get the templates on the newsletter. There's a link to that on all of my social media platforms. The link in bio has an area where you can add your email to get all the templates. We also finally have a Patreon. Actually, folks probably here in the stream gently encouraged me to start a Patreon. I did, and that link is the same place as where you find the newsletter, so you'll just find that on my profiles. Thank you all for tuning in.